Hello, my name is Mrs. Harrison. I'm going to be showing you how to make iced fairy cakes today. In this demonstration, you will learn how to make a fairy cake bun using obviously muffin cases or cake cases, and you will be learning the creaming method. You will be learning how to combine ingredients and also how to use the oven. So I have already preheated my oven, which we will show you how to do as a class. But that is preheated, ready to go. So that's at 160 degrees or gas mark 4, depending on which oven you are using. So just make sure your oven is preheated before you start. Now, the first step, I'm going to move the screen down so you can see what I'm doing here. So I'm just going to go to there so you can all see. As you have been asked to do, you need to pre-measure all of your ingredients and bring them in bags or little Tupperware boxes. You also will need to bring in cake cases, and you will need to bring in a container to take them home in. We will provide obviously the other equipment, such as the pan we use to cook it in, the muffin tin, and everything else. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to combine your caster sugar, 100 grams caster sugar and 100 grams of soft butter. Please don't put your butter in the fridge when you come in if you have it in the first few lessons. You might want to come in at lunchtime if you're in the last lessons or break time and take the butter out so it's nice and soft, ready to use. So it probably will be okay in your box. The butter should be fine. So you're creaming the butter and sugar together, combining employing all of those ingredients there, so you're getting all the sugar and all the butter. If it goes up the side, you need to bring it back down to the main section like that. So you're creaming it, making it nice and quick. So really use your muscles here. I'm just tilting it so you can see it, but you don't need to tilt it. There we go. Now, as per the hygiene video, I have cleaned everything and I've wiped my surfaces before using. I've made sure my equipment is clean, my hands are clean, I've got my apron on and my hair is tied back. I don't have any bags or coats or anything anywhere near me. I've put them all in the right place, so there's no trip hazards. So after you've creamed your butter and sugar together, it should look like quite fluffy and soft. And you shouldn't have any remnants of any sugar or butter on the sides, so bring it down like that. Now what you will need to get as well is a spatula, so we used a wooden spoon to mix that, so I will just grab my spatula. Okay, so I have my spatula ready to go, and that helps scrape all those ingredients into the right place eventually, so we're going to put that to one side. The next step, you are going to break your eggs into a bowl, or a measuring jug is just fine. I've already broken one in, but I wanted to show you how to break an egg into a dish without getting it everywhere. Transporting these to school is tricky, but make sure you wrap them up and everything is nice and secure. So all I tend to do is, some people choose to hit the egg like that to break it, but what I tend to do is more towards inside of the vessel. You're going to hit it off the side to crack it, so that's it. So you've cracked it, and then you use your fingers and thumbs to break it. Make sure you don't carry it over here yet until you've got all of that out. You tip it the correct way up so it doesn't drip, and put it in your rubbish container. If there's a piece of egg shell that's landed into your eggs, you can just move that. A metal object works quite well, so you can use a little spoon, but there should be just eggs in there, egg white and egg yolk, ready for whisking very lightly. So you can use a fork to whisk that, or a spoon, depending on your preference. So now I'm going to add those eggs. I'm going to keep all my dishes in one place so they're not scattered everywhere. Bring my bowl back, and I'm going to add the eggs to the creamed butter and sugar. Now my dishes again are going to go in the same place in a pile. I'm not going to scatter them everywhere. Then you use vanilla extract. You might have a smaller bottle than this. What you can do is, over your bowl, don't be putting it over here then bringing it over. Keep everything contained. 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Okay, or essence, vanilla essence or extract. Either is good. So you're going to mix that in carefully, don't slosh it everywhere. So just mix that like that. Now, what you're going to do is make sure that's all combined well. And then you are going to add, you're going to sift in your flour. I've already sifted it, so we're going to put that in there. Self-raising flour, that's because it has a raisin agent already in it. Nigella Lawson, famous chef, she tends to use plain flour and then add some baking powder, which has the same effect. So you'll see now we've got lots of ingredient around the side. So you're going to get that into the bowl a bit more, employ all of that into there. Mix the more liquid egg into the dry flour, and it'll start. So mix at the bottom first, and you can always go around, especially with your spatula in a minute. Okay, so I'm going to mix that together so it's nice and lump free. You might want to put a tea towel underneath because that helps with the bowl keeping it still. So I'd suggest you do that. Obviously, if you get cake on that tea towel, it needs to go in the washing basket straight away. Don't dry dishes with it. Otherwise, you'll be back to square one with your dishes. So mix that in. I'm just going to tilt that so you can see it, but you're using your muscles. You shouldn't have any lumps of butter at this stage. That should have been all incorporated into with the sugar and although quite a grainy, smooth mixture with the sugar. So you can see that's become smooth, and I've used all of the bits around the sides, so there's nothing left on the sides of the bowl. You're trying to get it all into the middle. So just make sure you've got all of those bits. There's no dry bits, there's no blobs of flour or anything that's going to create a problem with your overall texture of your cake. Okay, now I find it easier, because this is all combined now, I find it easier to bring the case to the bowl to put the mixture in. I just find if I drop any, then it's all contained. So you're going to start putting your mixture evenly into your cases, putting them in the tray. So I'll lift the cake case over, it's a bit of a tongue twister, and put the mixture evenly. So try and keep them all even so you don't have different sizes. The problem with different sizes is they cook at different rates then. So you'll have some that are like really crunchy and some that are too soft. So you need to make sure that it's all very even. If you drop some on the side, try and like wipe it off, because otherwise that'll bake on. You can use your little tea towel there to wipe up like that. So again, and you don't have to do fairy cakes with this. You can do, with this mixture, you could make a larger cake. So just without, obviously you combine it all in one tin. Now this is quite a lot of mixture, you can see. So although it doesn't feel it when we say 100 grams, it actually provides you with quite a lot of mixture. Now we're going to do a maximum amount, and we're going to do 12 each, because we need to think about the whole class and oven space and getting everyone's in the oven so they cook on time. Bear in mind we only have an hour. These need to be in the oven for 20 minutes. So you need to think about that time. And remember, you've got to clean up and you've got to ice them. We might not be able to ice them in this lesson. You might have to come back after school to ice them once they're cool, depending on your lesson time. They're going to be so warm in the lesson, so you might want to do that bit at home. Because once they're cool, you can ice them. Otherwise, the icing will just melt on top of the cake because it's made from butter. So it will just melt and ruin your overall appearance at the end. So you might want to consider taking the buns home, the fairy cakes home, and icing them at home. Your teacher will direct you otherwise and tell you what to do. Okay, so we're just going to get more mixture there. Lovely. Keep it nice and even. You'll have a look at them again, and you'll see that a lot of them have you might have sort of put too much in one of them. This is where I need my spatula, because I'm going to scrape any excess so we don't waste any precious cakes. So I'm going to put my spoon there for now, but I'm going to get that, you see the importance of having a tea towel underneath, get all that mixture into the centre of the bowl so you don't waste any. So that's a good cake there, so we don't want to waste that. We get 2 more cakes out of this. I think it's exactly 12, so that's worked out really well. If you do have extra, you might have to just take that extra home because we don't have the oven space to get everyone's in then. If everyone has 2 trays of cakes, we don't have enough. But I think if everyone makes 12, that is more than enough to get some nice cakes for you and your family. You might want to give one to your friend on the way home if they don't do food yet, if you're feeling generous. That's it. No pressure though. It's up to you. It's your food. Now, I'm just going to have a look and see which ones are a bit lacking in mixture. So if I've kind of been a bit stingy in one of them. Okay, so I'm just going to use my spatula to scrape into the ones that look a bit empty. I think they're all looking pretty even though. That's it. You've probably done fairy cakes at home with your parents, but we can see then they're ready to go in the oven. So I'm going to walk carefully. My ovens are further away than yours will be, but put them in the oven for 20 minutes. Check the temperature. Make sure you've checked that temperature again. And make sure that it hasn't been knocked, so someone's put it on 200 degrees instead because that's too hot for cakes. It needs to be on quite a lower to medium temperature because cakes tend to cook quite quickly, and cooking them in a hotter oven will not make it quicker. It'll just make them catch and burn on the top. So you need to make sure that you are following the times and the temperatures. Obviously, a lot with ovens, they vary. Some ovens seem to cook quicker, some of them are hotter, some of them depending on the style of oven. So you will get familiar with the ovens in here, and especially the one you're using. So that will help a lot. Now, obviously I need to do my icing now, but I think only having an hour, we're going to probably tell you to do that at home because we don't want the icing ruined by the warm cakes. So we will get you to do that at home. But that is basically just combining soft butter, ice and sugar, and if you want to sort of mix that together so it's nice and fine, like make sure you sieve the ice and sugar in. The measurements are on the recipe, and then if you want to put sprinkles on or marshmallows or anything, that's entirely up to you. But if you could send us a picture of the finished product to Teams and submit that, that would be lovely to see the final product as well. Okay, thank you everyone. See you another time.